Congress will have to act in the new year to avoid another government shutdown, all while millions of Americans brace for an increase in how much they'll pay for health care. Fox 5's Sydney Persing is live on the Hill tonight with what you need to know. Sydney?
Katie, the most recent government shutdown, that was the longest in American history, and it's really hard to believe that just in a matter of weeks, we could be back in that mess again. Again, that shutdown lasted 43 days, and we know it was painful for millions of Americans and so many of our neighbors right here in the DMV. Food banks were overwhelmed, SNAP recipients left in limbo, and federal workers went without pay for so long. Well, that November deal to end the nightmare, it only funded the government through January 30th. January 1st is now on Thursday. Days ago, Congress adjourned for the holidays without making any obvious progress toward funding it any further. I asked George Washington University's Peter Loge what he thinks our viewers should prepare for now.
Odds are very good we're going to have another shutdown. Everybody I've talked to in the House and the Senate just says, well, of course we are. This isn't a theoretical, abstract political debate. This is real lives and real families in Northern Virginia, D.C., Maryland. This is federal workers. These aren't just high-level federal workers who make the news. These are folks who do the day-to-day work of government.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the video. Just reacting here to the news here that I've seen of a potential government shutdown, another government shutdown. Really within 2-3 months of the last one. The last government shutdown took about 43 days, as they were saying. Chaos, complete chaos. I still think people are trying to recover from like the government being shut down. Chaos at airports, chaos with food, just chaos all over the place. So, do I feel like we can afford another government shutdown? No, I don't. I do not. But as this gentleman was just saying, it's more than likely going to happen with the deadline being January 30th, as they were saying, January 34th, 31st. That's the deadline. Of course, we're coming up on a new year. So, they just left for holiday break. Which my question is, man, what do they do when they're in session? Like, are they just sitting around, just twiddling their thumbs? Are these issues not being brought up? But that's why I do reactions to these news clips, because a lot of times the news is able to reach people who know people, and they're able to get a certain insight. And sometimes certain news stations are left, some are right, but we just kind of try to pull all the information together to draw our own conclusions as far as like what we can see happening. And I don't think it'd be good for the American people if there's another government shutdown. I feel like once they come back from the holiday break, they need to really make it a priority to find a way to agree and prevent that from happening again. Because it might be even crazier, because we're right knee deep into the winter months all across the country. You get winter weather sometimes even into the second, third week of March, before it kind of starts to warm up. And it's gonna be a real cold winter if there's another government shutdown for over 40 days.
You'll remember that Democrats' main sticking point last time around was that they wanted an extension of health care subsidies. But after 43 days of Republicans refusing to negotiate, a handful of Democrats voted to reopen the government without an extension, which means, as you mentioned, starting in January now, millions of folks across the country are expected to see an increase in how much they pay for premiums each month. Loge thinks that Democrats might again make that health care their sticking point this time around, thinking they might have enough leverage to get Republicans to the table. Some Democrats say it'll be too late by then, as Republicans work to settle on a health care plan too.
The bottom line is very clear. You can't do it after January 1st. Once it expires, the toothpaste is out of the tube.
We have to get into this game. We can't sit back and think that because Democrats have basically owned the healthcare message in polling over the last 15 years that we should not have a plan. We definitely need one.
And I'll mention, Katie, that after the government reopened, I interviewed a furloughed federal worker who was going back to work. It was her first day. And I asked her if she was excited to get back to work. And she said, sure, but that she was bracing for another shutdown on January 30th. She expected that's where we would be. Certainly, we will be waiting and watching closely to see if that's the case.
Yeah, so let's just you need to get prepared now. You know, that's just my whole thing. Anybody that takes the time to view this video, that know people who, you know, depend on, you know, the government being open in order to pay them, provide for their family, feed them. Just be prepared. You know, don't let it catch you by surprise again. You know, save some of the money that you received in December. Save some of the money that you're going to get here in January. So going into February, you at least have something to try to hold you over, and maybe they'll get a deal done before the end of January, you know. Worst case scenario, end of February. But it seems like this whole healthcare subsidies thing is really the main point of disagreement between the two parties, the two aisles, and you know, maybe they'll figure out a way to kind of to get that resolved amongst themselves. You know, it's just sad that well, it's not sad. I mean, this is just how the country was built, but millions of people's lives depend on, you know, these people to go in and come up with deals, to go in and like figure it out for everyone, you know. So you know, we'll see what happens. Again, be prepared. You know, get prepared. Don't let it sneak up on you. You know, don't you remember what it was like a month or two ago when people didn't even know if they was gonna get their SNAP benefits or this and that and the third. People was like overwhelming food banks and stuff. Go ahead and be prepared because they're already predicting there's gonna be another shutdown. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.